Thanks. Okay, welcome everybody to the December 15th, 2016 meeting of the Board of Selectmen. David, can we ask if you'll read through our agenda? Everybody's got a cough here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, we'll vote to approve or amend the agenda and add any topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance, and I'm not aware of any of those items. And then a public comment period, and then a proclamation for Scott Bethel Siri, Eagle Scout, a proclamation and certificate of appreciation for Carol Rubenstein, and then Wendy McCaber appointing to the Recycling Committee as a full voting member for a term June 15, 2019. And then consideration of Sharon McPherson as interim finance director accountant for a 90-day term. And under public hearings, we have Sherborn Fuel for an extension of business hours. Consideration of increase in wiring and plumbing fees with Henry Fontaine, the building commissioner. And the consideration of extension of hours for one night for the Heritage, which I believe is New Year's Eve. Then consideration of 2 one-day liquor licenses, and then all the various annual license renewals for stable, common victualers, ABC and Class 2. And then we don't have any boards, committees, department business. We do have a cell tower update with Jim Campbell. And then 2017 annual town meeting warrant and budget development. We need to vote to open and close the warrant. And then town administrator report. And then selectmen items, reports and updates, set the next meeting, consideration of minutes, and there are several sets of minutes to consider.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion to accept that agenda?
Move to approve.
Okay, second. All in favor? All right, great. We do have one person for public comment, Susan Tyler.
Not that you can't hear me from back there, but apparently at town meeting you couldn't hear me, so. Yeah, Susan Taylor, Western Avenue. I just have a question, and I can't seem to get an answer. Is there some written rule somewhere that Sherborn does not do any form of decoration throughout the town for the winter holidays? Be all that they are. We have a wreath out front here, but you drive through Natick and Ashland and Holliston and any other New England town, and they're not specific to Christmas or Hanukkah or any of the religious holidays, but there's a spirit in the town for the winter.
The fire department has.
Well, yes, my son did that. I will take exception to that, but we do nothing. I mean, it really is a very dreary town to drive through in the winter. You know, we have trees out front here. You could have very simple, small little white lights on them. But I can't seem to find an answer from anybody as to why Sherborn doesn't do anything. So, do you all have an answer, or can you find an answer? We have a year to plan ahead.
I move to appoint Susan Tyler to the Winter Decoration Committee.
Third.
Thanks for volunteering. You know, they say I need to start doing some therapy on my hand. Take it as you will. But
All right, no,
anyways,
good point.
there's nothing, and it's very dreary driving through here. And I love my town, but it's still dreary. But thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Okay, great. What do we have next? We've got a proclamation. Is Scott Siri intending to come in?
No.
Okay. Well, Carol's here. Let's start with Carol then. And Paul as our who's our clerk now? Chuck's our clerk. Chuck
Yes.
as our clerk. Would you do the honor of reading proclamation to Carol Rubenstein?
Certainly. This is a Town of Sherborn proclamation, whereas Carol Rubenstein has served on various town boards in Sherborn since 1992, whereas most notable is Carol's commitment to the town's recycling committee, on which she has served since 1992, and has resolutely educated the residents, leading them to make a significant impact on Sherborn's recycling rate. Whereas Carol was instrumental in the redesign of the transfer station, the institution of the swap shop, and in those and so many other ways in placing Sherborn on the map as an environmentally responsible community of the Commonwealth. Whereas Carol is also the one who spearheaded the town's very successful and ecologically essential annual Household Hazardous Waste Day and initiated the composting program at the schools and the transfer station. Whereas the town will surely miss Carol, not only for her countless contributions as a volunteer, but also as a bright spot at the transfer station, greeting and encouraging residents on many occasions over the many years she has served the town. Now, therefore, we, the Selectmen of the town of Sherborn, on behalf of all its citizens, including Hap Ruane, extend their utmost appreciation and boundless gratitude to Carol Rubenstein for her years of dedicated service to the town and its residents. In witness whereof, we have caused the seal of this town to be affixed to this proclamation on this 15th day of December in the year 2016.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Do I get that in person?
You do.
There you go, Carol. Carol, thank you for your
Thank you.
service. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We also have a certificate of appreciation to you for your service. We've been giving those to people with
Wow.
long volunteer service, so now you're going to have to
Excellent.
find another wall to put two certificates on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you.
Okay. So, Chuck, do you want to read the proclamation for Mr. Siri also?
Certainly. This is another proclamation from the town of Sherborn. Whereas Scott Bethel Siri has earned the rank of Eagle Scout, and whereas this accomplishment symbolizes his creative examples of service, strong leadership, and organizational skills, which have made a difference in our community, and whereas Scott has demonstrated his ability to set a goal and exhibited a personal desire and tenacity to follow through successfully. Now, therefore, we, the Selectmen of the town of Sherborn, on behalf of all its citizens, extend their congratulations and best wishes on this occasion of the Eagle Scouts Award Ceremony.
So moved.
In witness whereof, we have caused the seal of this town to be affixed to this proclamation on the 15th day of December in the year 2016.
We get Paul's moved. All in favor of that proclamation? Excellent.
I also moved on.
Oh, can we not vote on Carol's? Let's vote on Carol's too. Everybody vote on Carol's. Excellent, thank you.
And I have Hap's proxy, and he's in favor of it too. So.
Excellent. All right, what's next on this agenda? We have appointments. Wendy McCaber as a voting member of the Recycling Committee and Sharon McPherson as Finance Director.
Well, let's do those one at a time.
Sure.
I move the appointment of Wendy McCumber. She's been recommended.
McCaber.
McCaber.
She's been recommended by the Recycling Committee. She had previously served on it in the past, and according to the assessment we have here, that she and her co-chair will be a powerful team, but of course only a fraction of what we had come to expect with Carol, who we just gave recognition to.
Okay.
So that's a
So
motion.
it's a motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Great. And thanks to Wendy for serving. And now, David, do you want to introduce Sharon?
Yeah, I'll start it off and
Thank
then
you.
Mark will say a few words. Maybe she should go over and set up the chair, just in case you
Fantastic.
have any questions.
Yeah.
As you know, in July we advertised for a finance director accountant position, and
Yes.
we have held a hiring process. We had an interview team. We've gotten down to a few candidates. Some had to withdraw due to other circumstances, and we're down now to Sharon, who is a finalist, and we have we're considering the appointment in accordance with the bylaw to appoint an interim finance director for a period of 90 days. At the successful completion of those 90 days, we'd probably re-up it for another 60 days. That would bring her to the full 6 months probationary period, and then after that would be free and clear as finance director from that point on. For now, it would be, she will be serving as finance director, but the official capacity would start after that 6-month period.
Okay.
60 plus 90 is 150. 6 months is 180.
She's been here for 30 days.
Good. Okay.
All right, great.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that math made no sense to me.
So we had, I wanted to mention the team that we had. We had Selectman Brandon, Personnel Board Chair Fred Abdalahad, Advisory Committee Chair George Morrow, former Advisory Committee Chair Mary Wolf, and elected Town Treasurer Heather Peck, and Grace Shepard, who has longtime experience on many boards, including the Board of Selectmen. We were the ones that screened the applications and conducted the interviews. And I took their thoughts on this, and it was my recommendation to bring Sharon forward. So Mark, do you want to say something?
Well, I had a chance to spend a little bit of time with Sharon and talk through her first 30 days here, and just want to take the opportunity to, on behalf of the town, to welcome you
Thank you very much.
to Sherborn and to the finance team. Sharon's got some really good experience, primarily with the Red Cross for about 30 years, or 30 years total experience, a
Yep,
lot of it
20
with the Red
23,
Cross. Involved a lot of systems work, sys conversions, which is going to be very important to us in the short term. And in the medium to long term, she's committed to learning all about municipal finance in general and Sherborn specifically. And I think you're going to make a great addition to the team. I look forward to working with you.
I look forward to working with you. I've been here just for a month, and it's been a great experience. I've had the opportunity to go to the advisory committee meetings. I've had meetings with George and Mary Wolf. Just incredibly dedicated, brilliant volunteers here. And I've had the opportunity to meet with the finance team, spend some time with Heather. Just yesterday, I met with the library group and members of the committee. We also had present at that meeting a representative from our audit team, Zach, and it was a great meeting talking all about, making sure we really get good controls in place for this project, and we made a commitment to document the process, centralizing the invoicing, separate warrants. We're going to meet on a monthly basis. I made a commitment, and Heather made a commitment that we would participate in all of their committee meetings, and it's just been a really good experience. I also had the opportunity to meet with Zach, who's the auditor, went through the audit entries with him, closed out for the year just yesterday. And I talked to him, because you had asked me a question. You said, so what are your plans to get up to speed? And I talked to Zach, and I said, well, municipal accounting is a completely different beast. And, I'm learning it, and I'm so fortunate to be working with Suzanne, who's the consultant. But Zach told me something great. He said that their audit firm runs a class in May. It's a 4-week, 1-day-a-week class in the town of Needham at their library. He actually sent me the whole guide today, so I'm excited about that. And I also, David is really encouraging me, and I'm very excited to do this, is to become a certified municipal accountant. And I've looked into that as well. So, and that's a 3-year program, and that starts in May as well. So I'm very excited about that. And it's, this month has been wonderful. David is a fabulous mentor. He's been really, really good and helpful to me. The town's lucky to have him, and Diane as well. And it's just been a pleasure. Really, really wonderful people in this community. So I really look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Do we have a motion?
I'd move to appoint Sharon for the position of interim town accountant for 90 days.
And finance director?
Interim finance director.
And finance director and accountant.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to appoint to the position of, what's the official position, David? Interim finance director and accountant, or just interim finance
The
director?
bylaw refers to interim finance director / accountant.
Okay, all right.
Is there another piece of this that we want to do?
Yeah, I had a motion in here,
Okay,
second page. Good point.
so we're gonna
I'm
ask.
sorry about that, Paul. There was a motion on the second page.
I was looking for it.
Here you go, Paul. Do you want to restate your motion?
Yes. Oh, yes. I move that Sharon McPherson be appointed in accordance with the bylaw for a term of 90 days as interim finance director accountant, and further delegate the board's supervisory authority to the town administrator to supervise the position of finance director accountant in all matters expected of the position in the job description and bylaw.
Okay, do we have a second on that, or any
Second.
discussion? Okay, any discussion?
I just hope that that motion I made doesn't mean that we don't have access to her if she has a question of
Not
any
at
of
all.
us, or if we have questions.
Not at all. You're the hiring and appointing authority.
And the bylaw provides that we're the final evaluation authority as well.
Right, right. And so maybe do we want to say delegates day-to-day supervisory authority or something like that?
That's the question I've got about the wording.
What do you suggest?
Paul has my copy.
Sorry.
The language is supervised, I think that's fine. I'm not sure the supervision and evaluation are one and the same, so I'm fine with that
Oh,
language.
that, okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Chuck's fine with the language. Any other comments?
Well, that's why I asked the question to clarify it, so it's in the record,
No. Okay. Great.
what that means.
We should take a vote. All in favor? Great. Well, welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. I
Now you're
really look
official.
forward to
Thanks,
working
Sharon.
with all of you. Thank you.
And David and Mark and others, thanks for overseeing that process, which I know involved a lot of work and, you know, took a while, but paid off, which is.
Yes, thank
Which is
you.
great. Okay, we now have a,
Sure, it also means that when Dover, Sherborn, and Medway are playing, you're rooting for Dover, Sherborn. Let's get that straight.
okay, so we have a public hearing. I'll read the notice. The Sherborn Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Thursday, December 15th, 2016, at 6:20 PM in Town Hall, Room 204A, on the extension in the Sunday hours to sell beer and wine at Sherborn Sitco, 21 South Main Street, Sherborn, Mass. Oral and written comments are invited. And here is, this is just backup material. David, you want to introduce this and tell us what you've put in the package and so forth?
On the extension of hours?
Yes, yep.
It's a 1-hour extension from 6 to 7.
The Sherborn
Sundays.
Fuel has license to sell beer and wine on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Under the law, they are allowed to get to notify the town for an hour extension, or an extension of hours into the evenings, and they'd like to extend it 1 hour. The hearing was properly advertised. It doesn't require a hearing, but we thought it would be a good idea to do, to handle it as a hearing. There's a note in here from ABCC about a recent decision involving Sherborn Fuel. And then
One thing I think worth pointing out is that their closing hours have recently been extended from 6 PM to 7 PM. So there was not, the license that was issued before was coterminous with their business hours.
I think I'm reading that differently than you,
Yeah,
Chuck. It looks like they're cutting back from 9 PM to 7 PM and asking to extend beer and wine sales from 6 PM to 7 PM.
Okay, I'm sorry. So it was, 9 PM would be, so they were closing at 9 with the liquor license that ended at 6, correct?
I think that's right.
Okay.
Maybe we can
Sorry.
hear from the applicant? Yeah. Do you want to come up to the table? You may have more to say than just the questions, whatever you want to present is fine also.
Yeah, Mike, you had it right. We've been open till 9 PM on Sundays, and recently made the decision to roll back till 7 because it gets pretty quiet after 7 PM. And this just goes back to where it's nothing more than a convenience to beer and wine consumers. And it just it's become obvious, we don't sell much of anything, let alone beer and wine, between 6 and 7. However, we put the little gold chain on it because that was the agreement when you granted the permit going back 2 or 3 years. But it becomes a bit awkward for customers who at 6:10 are surprised to hear that they can't buy it. And so this is not a big deal for us, but it's a consumer benefit. So it's an extra hour for a week, and then we'll close the whole shop at 7. Please.
Any comments, questions?
Make a comment?
Okay, Paul?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that the ABCC decision that I couldn't find was, it was one underage drinking violation that should just be noted, and the commission suspended the license for 3 days, of which 3 days will be held in abeyance for a period of 2 years, provided no further violations of Chapter 138 or commission regulations occur. And it's typical practice that we would ask them to, have you changed any operations in order to try to...
That's a great
Heard that
question.
from
It was a humbling experience, but I would say a positive experience. Laura and I went downtown to Boston. We met in the chamber with the two, I can't tell you how they're identified, but they treated it very seriously. We treated it very seriously, and the takeaway was we just have to be very careful and check everybody. And as I said to the two women who presided, that I think what the risk we run is we're so familiar with our customers that we take things for granted, and then you get snake bitten. So we have to reinforce, look, check everybody's ID. We did look into the possibility to do some online training, but it doesn't exist. The training that exists, there's a convenience store and a package store association in Massachusetts. They both offer training, but it's off-site 4 hours, and it's really intended for people who run bars.
Is that the TIP certification?
That's one of them, yeah. And we would love it if we could get an online module and do some training and retraining, but it just seemed impractical for the moment. So to answer your question, just to say again, we just reinforced, card everybody. One of the things we learned from one of the officers in the Sherborn Police Department was that there was at one time, years ago, a Natick package store that had a reputation for being absolutely zealous in carding. And he said to me his secret was he would pay his attendants $50 anytime they carded and found a fake ID. So what I've tried to do with Laura is to institute that, give a financial incentive to someone who's crafty enough to catch a kid with a fake ID. But it was a humbling experience. I think we got complacent. One should never be complacent.
Okay. I just wanted to point that.
Yep, thank you, and thanks for the explanation. Paul?
Well, I had two things. First, I would respectfully suggest you ask to see if there's any public
I'm
comment.
going to, as soon as you comment.
All right, my comment is that I'm in favor of this request because I think your operation has been a great asset to the community.
Thank
I think we need to take a wider look at it, not just at the specific request, but look at all the things that your establishment has brought to the community. It is quite an amenity for the residents of the town. It is pretty well run. The fact that there's been a mistake, it's not unusual for people to make mistakes in their lives, and nobody is perfect. And it has a logic to it, to continue until you close up your shop,
Yeah.
rather than have 2 different periods of time with the risk that somebody will forget and all that kind of stuff. Just seems like it makes life easier all the way around for both our residents and for you, so it makes sense. That was my comment.
Great, thanks. Anybody else?
Thank you,
up here?
Paul.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have a comment? Commissioner Tyler, yes.
Yeah, as far as, I'm sorry, Susan Tyler, Western Avenue. Question regarding the one incident of somebody underage purchasing. I've been in different stores, and they actually, they have a practice that they have to take your license and scan your license, the barcode on the back of your license, in order to purchase cigarettes. I don't know if they do the same for alcohol, and whether that's an individual practice that can be picked up, or, I don't think it's mandated, but
That's a good thought. We have a device that you can put the ID in. It doesn't always work, but we have that, and we use it sometimes. And I'll take that up. I'll certainly talk to Laura. I do think that the lesson I took away from the hearing was just be absolutely, well, it's hard to be absolute, but try to be as consistent as you can and ask for an ID every time. And as a practical matter, you don't ask the little old ladies, but I think is to be careful to not assume that we know everybody that comes. It's not easy. It
So
wasn't.
why
I
don't-
should say too, Susan. It was. This is not an excuse, but I think just for the record, what the Commonwealth does, and they do a really good job of it. They'll come into a town. They'll go on. They'll hire assertive young men. This young fellow was from Medway, I think, 18-year-old athlete, and he was Bud Light six-pack boom, and they're sort
well,
of
that tells you right there,
bit of
Bud Light.
bit of a setup. but they what they do is they hire assertive, confident, adult-looking, and they lured us in. And what was ironic was it was Marcelo Pino, who's our manager, and he was unbelievably disappointed in himself and really frustrated by it. But it's a lesson learned. And what they told me, what the women said to me, the two agents, they said, look, we tend to be more relaxed when it's an example of us testing you than when we hear things by the by. And that's another reason not to be complacent. But I think we're fortunate to have the police force who are incredibly alert as to who's who and help us decide who's coming and going. But we'll look again at our scanning machine and see if that can be part of it.
Yeah, which is a thought, because I've seen, there's one place, anybody that's in line getting smokes, no matter how old they are, that's their policy.
Yep.
We need to take a shot at your license. Just a thought.
Anything further? Anybody else have anything to say? Okay.
I would just like to say, I hate those things. What Susan's describing.
But did they tell you you're underage, Mark?
Unfortunately, no.
Hey, look, when they card me, you know that there's a problem.
Well, could I move that we grant the change of hours on Sundays to 7 p.m.?
Second.
Yeah, I'm just glad we can buy something in Sherborn on Sunday at 7 p.m. I think that's great. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, that's right. It's cheery. It's got lights on it. It's cheery to Susan's
And there
earlier
you go,
point.
it's got neon in the window.
All right.
They
So,
have holiday
all in favor?
decorations, too.
okay, great. Yeah, thank you for coming in and for your candor and discussing this.
Thank you all very much. Happy holidays.
I have to step out.
Okay,
Thank you.
we've got the building permit fees now, so we'll have to carry through, but we'll miss you. Okay, next we have a public hearing at 6:30. A public hearing on Thursday, December 15th, 2016 at 6:30 PM in Town Hall Room 204A to consider an increase in fees on wiring, plumbing, and gas permits. Comments may be provided orally or in writing. Proposed fees are available for review on the town's website. And That's been advertised.
I'd like to have Henry Fontaine, the building commissioner, come up
Fontaine,
for
our
this.
building commissioner, has been in charge of this effort, and thank you for doing it.
You're entirely welcome. Okay.
Go ahead, Henry.
Now that I've been here a year or so, I'm getting a better feel of what's going on. Some of the fees that are, as far as plumbing, electrical goes, Jeannie Guthrie kind of mentioned to me today that she's been here 25 years and it's the same fees as been here for 25 years. So the adjustment of the new fees are still low compared to a lot of towns, but it's enough of a shock for some of the people that have been having the lower numbers for such a long time that I think at least the fees are a little bit more in line now, but they're still lower. And I tried to keep the fees reasonable. The only number that's concerning to me is at the very bottom of them, it says the building department reserves the right to adjust construction cost estimates based on industry and local standards for building and mechanical fees. Signed contracts for the work to be performed may also be required in established association fees. Sometimes we'll run into a home that's $450,000, $500,000, and we'll get a plumbing fee of $15,000 to $20,000, and those numbers typically, they don't really line up too good. So we'll establish a number by counting the fixtures that are in the house, and that'll help us determine the fees on it, or we'll ask for a contract. So if the fee should be $30,000, then a permit fee should be, you know, it's basically almost $1,000. It's a big difference.
Sure.
Aren't it? So,
Great. Anybody from the public have comments on the fees? Anybody up here have comments on the fees? I know we had an initial discussion quite a while ago on this idea of raising some of these fees.
I just note that they haven't been raised since 2003.
yep,
Quite a while.
yep.
Okay.
I think the numbers that are there now are a little bit more clearer to everybody when they come in. It'll either have that minimum fee of $100 or $10 per thousand. So I think it's just cleaner for everybody, rather than trying to guess whether it's $7 a room or
Right.
what's considered a room at that point, and so,
Yeah, and I mean, I would say this is a similar approach to what a lot of municipalities do in terms of their fees based on the cost of the work. All right. Susan?
I'm making up for lost time here. For we here in the audience or watching at TV, we don't have the papers that you have. What are we talking as far as a approximate increase for everybody on your basic project, I guess, or what?
okay.
On electric, the base fee was $30, which doesn't even cover the time to fill out the permit card. That's pretty much jumping up to 100,
Okay,
except for some of the smaller items. Fire alarms is 75 instead of 100. And then it's $10 per thousand,
and do we
which
have
is in
any-
line with our building permit fee,
Right.
right?
Okay,
Right. Yeah, the electrical at one point used to be base fee of $30 and then $7 per room. I mean, you're still going to be way under $100 for a building that's going to cost you $450,000 or so to build.
Right.
So I mean, the numbers are way down.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move to approve the new fees,
Both the electrical and the plumbing?
both for electrical and plumbing inspections,
Okay. We
and
have
gas inspections.
a second on that motion? Anybody?
Second.
Sean seconds, moving second, all in favor? Okay, great, and thank you for your work on that, that's great.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
Thanks,
Thank
Henry.
you, you too.
So Sharon, make sure you capture that in the budget. I just need some-
Yes.
You know, it's interesting because there's a theory that higher fees would discourage people from doing work, but I don't know that it makes any difference in the town.
The fee?
In other words, the amount of the fee is
Our
inconsequential.
fees.
you know, the charge really should cover the cost of
I think
service.
if you were to,
Which it will now.
if you
It'll
were
be
to
much
force
closer.
rank the things that keep people from
Yeah,
building
that's what I'm saying.
this one's not at the top of the list yet.
So we're not losing anything by raising these fees.
It may not be on the
But these
list.
aren't the
We'll find
fees, these aren't the onerous fees we have in town.
Understood.
They're not even, they don't even scratch the
But we can
surface of
we
some
can
of the
capture more
fees.
money now from these fees. We should capture more money from these fees.
They still don't hit the radar compared to other fees that you pay to build in town. These
For
aren't
other,
that.
for other board permit fees.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
the bylaw fees.
Yep, yep. Okay. Next item, David, you want to walk us through this, the Heritage?
Yes, Heritage of Sherborn is asking the Selectmen for approval to extend their liquor license for one night only on December 31st, 2016. The request is to extend the hour until 12:30 a.m. for New Year's Eve, and this is a request that we get each year.
What is their normal closing hour?
I believe it's 11, isn't it?
Well,
12.
Oh, it's a 7.
I move that we grant the, do you want a motion?
I do, except I did see an email from Rick's inspection earlier today, and I thought you might have some input on that, Sean, in terms of a fire inspection and when items are found, whether that's cause for concern.
I do, but I know we're gonna talk about that
Well, but it relates to the
in
same,
a later item.
yeah, it relates to the same business, that's why I was asking.
It does, and that, well, they're both inspection, I mean, the cleaning of the hoods
Yeah.
is just there's a state regulation that they have to do it, I think it's quarterly, I'm not sure, I
Okay.
don't do those inspections, but, those are scheduled for, Today
I
and
can tell
next
you
week.
that the sprinkler was done today. I got an email from the manager. The sprinkler system was inspected today, and the hoods are being inspected next week, or
Mhm.
on the 27th, 2 days after Christmas, on the Tuesday, the 27th. And Rick has sent, he gave us a memo, he okaying the renewal of the the ABCC as long, within 30 days, everything was taken care of.
Well, we wouldn't want them to clean the hood before they
Yeah,
exercise
before New Year's Eve.
New Year's
well,
Eve.
they're gonna clean it before New Year's Eve.
That's what I'm saying.
You can vote it with a contingency or...
We should,
Yeah.
as we're saying this, we should use some caution. It's not that they're not cleaning their kitchen,
No,
it's that there's professional services that come in and
Yeah.
clean the pipe, and then it gets certified, almost like your fire extinguishers and sprinkler systems. So they just were out of sync on when they needed to get it done. It's not, I don't want it to sound like their kitchen's not clean,
No,
and
it's just one of
No,
the
it's-
things
should be-
that
It's a fire
yeah,
safety.
it's a fire hazard. It's not
Right.
even a health hazard.
They do have to shut the kitchen down, well, they'll shut it down for lunch on the 27th, so it can be cleaned, the hood piping can be cleaned.
Okay. So we have a motion on this then?
Yeah, I'll move that we grant the extension of the liquor license for one night on New Year's Eve to 12:30.
We have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to make it contingent upon the work being done before New Year's Eve.
Okay, their license will actually be contingent, but that's fine. I think,
No, well, that's up to you, but Rick said
Sure.
within 30 days.
he was giving them 30 days to get
Right.
it done. Which would go past this.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'd like to see it by New Year's Eve. It sounds like
Well,
it's
I'm
gonna be-
cautioning on that because if there was an issue, if there was something, did the sprinklers pass completely? There was no issues?
It said, the sprinkler system, they were inspected this morning, the mark tag has been updated with current readings.
Okay.
Do you want that?
No. Then I guess I'm fine with that.
Okay. I mean, I kind of get Mark's point, and I would ordinarily say I'd want them to be in compliance before they came to us and asked us for a special dispensation to stay open, but I also know that you could get a run of really bad weather or something, it might hold up the inspection.
Well, and this all came up
Schedule.
just a couple days ago, so they've,
Right, but it's no secret that you have to clean your hoods if you're in the restaurant business, so,
wow,
you know, they missed it for whatever reason.
right.
And the timing's unfortunate, the week between Christmas and New Year's, but the principle is certainly sound, that
Yeah.
they should be in compliance with all their required
But
inspections.
just because of the time of the year, I would,
I
I guess
agree.
I would reluctantly go along with the motion.
Right. I as well.
Okay. All right, so more discussion? We'll vote. All in favor of Sean's motion, I guess? Or your motion?
Sean's.
Okay. Great, okay, so those hours are extended for one night. We have next, Dave, it looks like, are we really up to the...
Oh, yeah.
Cell tower, Jim's not here.
Yeah, no, the cell tower is the next thing here, but we also have the one-day liquor licenses and the other license renewals.
Right.
Just gotta get to that part of our package here, here we go.
Jeannie put together,
Now, Jeannie's got we got a whole big
I got a whole
package
bunch. All right, these are the one-day.
so what there were a couple last year that we ran into that we wanted to hold on. So if you run into something here that's uncomfortable or you need more time to review, we can move it to the 21st.
here. Do you have notes on all these? Maybe sitting at the table, and when we have questions, you can... Yeah, we can go through these easy. Okay.
We just don't want to rush through them.
Okay, so we have two one-day. David, do you want to walk us through this, or you in the middle, or Jeannie can?
It's better if Jeannie does because she's put it together.
The one-day liquor license, one is for a fundraiser that's being held Saturday night. They did this last year. It's Paige Brody Hall, who lives here in town, puts it on with the Pilgrim Church. She is asking for the waiver of the fee. You did waive the fee last year. The police chief has asked for a detail for traffic. And everybody else signed off on it. And then the second one is an 80th birthday party at the community center also. That's January 7th. And it's before you because I didn't know if you would meet before then.
Okay. Well, actually, it's great to have one well in advance like that. I mean, that's how they should be. Okay, so do we have a motion? Let's do them one at a time, I guess. Do we have a motion on the Star Kelly Function fundraiser?
How many folks are going to be there? I'm sorry, there was 60 at the 80th birthday party. 150.
150.
Yeah, that's.
And Star Kelly is the name of the,
Star Kelly's the
Please.
one for the 17th this weekend.
and that's the name of the licensee. That's the
Yeah.
name of it.
She holds the insurance.
What does this mean? Beer, wine, one specialty drink. What does that even mean?
They're going to have a specialty drink.
I don't even think that's a
They-
category of license, though.
It's an all alcohol.
Okay.
Is this just curiosity? You want to know what it is?
No. I just am concerned that we do this the right way.
Well, we can't put just beer and wine. So I believe it says,
The application says beer, wine, one specialty drink, which is not
Right.
a category of, a regulatory or statutory
But that was
category of
151.
license. So I'm just asking.
I can change it to all alcohol. It's
Yeah,
Specialty.
well, these licenses don't say all alcohol.
neither one, it's just for one day for license. And
Okay.
then
Right. Yeah, I would want to specify that it's a beer, wine,
And alcohol?
alcohol license under the statute. And I know, David, you said we should have a discussion early next year about procedures on this and maybe revise our procedures for these one-day licenses because they're, kind of time-consuming. They come in at the last minute often, and there are a lot of issues associated with how these are approved. So,
Yeah, I've talked to Barbara and I told her that we are looking, town council, that we're trying to figure another way.
maybe she has best practices from another community that she could tell you about.
Yeah, there was no way, when she looked into it, there was no way of cleaning up the process as far as having it approved in the office.
Understood.
But,
So they still have to come to us, but they
Yeah.
could be, set up or organized in a different way if that's better for the town
yeah.
and, better for the licensee. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this one?
Move to approve with the one traffic detail requirement.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Second?
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, they were asking for the fee to be waived. Or am I looking at the wrong one?
Yeah, you're right.
It was a request to waive the fee.
Okay. Do you want, are you asking to amend the?
Well, I'm acknowledging that it was there.
I would amend the motion to include the waiver of the $50 fee for this not-for-profit organization.
I'll second that if it needs another second.
All right, so move the second. All in favor of this one? Great. Now we've got a one-day pouring license. This is for an 80th birthday party. The number of guests expected is 60. We've got sign-offs from police, fire, and building commissioner. We do not have a traffic detail requirement. And the license is for beer and wine.
Move to approve.
Second?
Moving second, and all in favor? Okay, so those two are set. Jeannie, thank you. And now we've got a series of stable and common victualers and ABC and Class 2 licenses. It says presenter is David Williams on my fact sheet here.
I forgot to change it.
So is Jeannie to present these, or you present them?
Yeah, actually, I should have presented the previous ones. These ones are what Jeannie.
What do you want to do first?
To go through. Yeah. Basically, these are all done each year, and we try to schedule the inspectors to go out as early as possible. And this is for stable, ABCC, and common victualers premises inspected by building, fire, and wiring inspectors. Police are asked if there are any violations, or if any violations have been registered with them with regards to ABCC and Class 2 licenses. And on the stable licenses, we have it's not an animal control officer,
An animal inspector,
but animal inspector
Kim Morrow.
that visits each site.
Okay.
Last year, there were a few applicants that
Haven't quite
hadn't
completed.
quite finished all the inspections. I flipped through this quickly. I didn't see any that didn't have the inspections. Is that correct?
Everything was inspected.
Not every,
The only issue we had was heritage, but the buildings were inspected. I talked to Chief Thompson about the Class 2s and the ABCCs. He was fine, no violations except for the one at Fuel that you were aware of.
And last year, there were some issues with different stables.
Yes, but they've all passed,
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah, last year there were electrics.
Right.
On some of them, there were a couple of problems. This had expired. Extinguishers all updated.
All updated.
And do any of these involve increases in the number of animals or anything like that?
No. In fact, we had 2 stables that are no longer have more than 4 horses, so they're not on the list anymore.
Okay. All right. Anybody in the audience want to talk about stables? No? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve? So I guess we should say the addresses of the stables we're considering tonight. 51 Whitney Street, 12 Ames Drive, 70 Bullard Street, 89 Brush Hill Road, 16 Mason Hill Lane, 125 Mill Street, 127 Farm Road, 42 Washington Street, 26 Bullard Street, 111 Coolidge Street, 12 North Main Street, 34 Great Rock Road, 188 Maple Street, and I can't read that writing. 113 Western? Yeah, 113 Western.
It's 190 maybe.
What did I say? Oh, it's in here as 188. It's 190?
190 is on, yeah.
Okay. That's Joan Honorado?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's 39 Brush Hill, not 80.
Okay. The copy was cut off. I guess I guessed wrong. Do we have a motion to approve these stable licenses, the ones I just read?
So to approve.
Okay, second on that is
Second.
Sean. Okay, all in favor? Great, okay, so we're gonna have horses in town for another year. Now we've got common victular licenses. This would be for Simji's, Dunkin' Donuts, and Provisions, right? Now, you crossed out Frosty's, is that, seen all Frosty, that's because they're not coming in for a license?
They're not coming in for a license, nor is the Sherborn Sandwich Shop.
Let's see. Do we have anybody in the audience who wants to comment on Simji's Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, or Provisions? Okay. Anybody up here have any questions or comments?
Question about CNL, why are they not applying for a license?
Because they're, it sounds like they're looking for new ownership, so if that's the case, then they would have to have a public hearing when the new ownership is brought to the board.
Yeah, the owner's retired,
Yes, I believe so.
and so it's closed.
Okay.
There was a big run on CNL, like the day before they closed. It was all over Facebook.
It
For
was
the last
very-
few hours. I
Yeah,
think I saw it.
it was unbelievable.
What were they doing, using up french fries and stuff?
Yeah,
I didn't read.
like every kid that ever went there after baseball practice was they from, I mean, my boys
They
were
were all
there.
posted pictures from it. A
Yeah.
lot of people didn't realize it
Sean, you
was
could set up a hot dog stand at the fire department, make a fortune, it sounds like.
It was very sad.
Yeah,
Sad for me, 'cause I've been going there for
ever.
decades, and my kids have gone there, just sad.
So what's the plan, do you know?
I think Chris is trying to find somebody that will take it over. I'm sure he will be able to find somebody. It's just that when he does, they'll come in front of the board.
Got it, good. Okay, so we have a motion to approve these 3 victulars licenses?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Great. Okay, next we've got, what do we have next? We have, yeah, it's okay, I'm gonna sign these afterwards, or during the later part of the meeting.
You want to do the class twos?
Yeah, why don't you, I'm just trying to get to that part of the giant package I've got here of application forms. Okay, good. Sherborn Auto Sales, Sherborn Auto Brokers.
We did.
And, those are the only 2, right?
Rose's Automotive.
And Roses, okay, got it.
And Roses, right.
Okay, it's just not in the memo, got it. So it's Roses. Sherborn Auto Sales. We're gonna ask if anybody out there, anybody have any comments on the auto dealers, used auto dealers? All right, so Paul's moved to approve. We've got a second, all in favor? For auto dealers, okay. And what's next, anything? Oh, our licenses, and our class 2 licenses. Okay. All right, so these are for ABCC Class 2 licenses to Sherborn Wine and Spirits, Provisions, Heritage at Sherborn, and Sherborn Fuel.
So moved.
Move to approve. Any comments from anybody on any of these fine establishments? No? Okay.
Are we gonna make this one, because I noticed the fire is not signed off.
On which one?
We were gonna separate that one out.
Okay, so we're gonna
Make
hold
that
that
contingent on the,
within 30 days.
Passing the fire.
right.
All right, so we have 3 that we would vote on, and then separately the Heritage. So for Sherborn Wine and Spirits, Provisions, and Sherborn Fuel, all of which have, I believe all of which have all their sign-offs, right? Okay, do we have a motion on that, those 3? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, now for, does somebody want to make a motion on the Heritage at Sherborn?
So moved. That their license get renewed with the condition that within 30 days they complete these required inspections.
We have a second on that motion?
Second?
Okay, so moved and seconded that license approved within 30 days. They complete required inspections. All in favor? Okay, great. So we're done. Thank you, as always, Jeannie, for keeping us organized and getting us through this all in one night. This is good. There was a lot of planning ahead this year. It looks like everybody got inspected and passed. and
Yeah, we got it pretty quick.
We had a chief and an inspector.
That helps, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
All right, so we're gonna sign these. Next, we've got Jim Campbell. Hi, Jim. So you're gonna talk to us about the cell tower?
Yes, I am. Can you start now?
You can, yeah.
I need to get my visual aid set up here a little bit.
You don't have to.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, I think I signed the roll up under the vote check, but that's fine. Go ahead.
So I gotta leave.
No, it's over here.
What?
It's over your head,
Probably right.
but don't take it personal.
Whole meeting has been.
Okay, there it is.
Somebody's this direction first.
Well, while we're waiting, let me just say how much we all appreciate, Jim, the years that you put into getting this up and running. It's been 4 or 5, 6 years, however long it's been. It's been a long road, and I know you put a lot of time into it. Thank you.
So you're anticipating Jim's gonna say the road is ended? It was ended.
In saying that, I still dropped a call on South Main Street.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's,
think
I don't think it's up yet.
the cell phone part is up.
well, we can talk about that. Okay, thank you, Paul. Yeah, you're right. It's been at least 6 years since the town approved the 40 by 40 foot plot over there opposite the Farm Pond beach area and the town forest for as a preferred place for a public safety or a cellular communication site. The report I'm going to give you tonight will give you a status on this project to install improved public safety communications for the town. Before I do that, I want to start and say that the need to install and to improve our communications for police and fire throughout town goes way back to the 70s when the town moved from HF communications to UHF. And when they did that, the radio waves travel more line of sight than following the curvature of the earth, so that our broadcast point on Mount Misery, which is actually it's the corner of Honey Lane, where Honey Lane takes a right angle turn up there, the hill at that top is where our main broadcast system is, our repeaters are. And they are shadowed when you look south, first by Pine Hill, then Mount Misery, and actually over toward Bogastow, they're shadowed by Nason Hill. So that what it turns out is that when a policeman or fireman gets out of their vehicle and tries to use their handheld radio, their ability to transmit reliably back to the repeater on Brush Hill and have their signal broadcast back to the police station, the dispatch center, is really compromised. So it's that handheld radio transmission that was the problem. And about 4 years ago, thanks to George Voorhees, we came up with a solution. The solution was to install a second antenna on the south side of Sherborn, down here on Lake Street, and thereby be able to receive those weak signals from the handheld radios in the woods and so forth. Of course, to install something like that, you need elevation for a tower, and the only really efficient way to get elevation is to put it on a cell tower, because with a cell tower comes shelter, which can shelter the equipment we need, as well as that on the tower. So in 2013, the town did vote to buy the equipment. And we did purchase the equipment. As you'll see, we have it in hand. And what I'd like to do tonight is to kind of go through the three elements of the system and tell you where each stands and come at last to one significant issue. So really, when you think about it, there's the receiving station for this public safety radio equipment, the auxiliary receiving, which is the tower at Lake Street. There's the backhaul communications link, because if you receive it on South Lake, you've got to get it up to Brush Hill to be able to rebroadcast. Brush Hill and Hunting Lane where the repeaters are. And of course, the key element, the third element being the Brush Hill site, the repeater is more than just a repeater, it's a signal processor. The new equipment we buy will do signal processing that will select the larger of the received signal, the better one with the better signal-to-noise ratio, and that's what will be broadcast. Otherwise, you get confusion, you get more than one signal coming into dispatch in there, and it's really difficult to deal with. So we'll move on now here, I guess. No? What do we press here? There we go. Okay, the first of these three elements is the South Lake Tower. Somebody said, where is my cell phone reception? And actually it's not there, but it's close. You've probably been hearing that for a while. But it's been a long process. The most recent process was to get authorization to take down sufficient trees to install utility poles on Lake Street. That's been done. Fios is now cabled to the site. Verizon Wireless has had all its subcontractors in there, and we're at the final step, believe it or not, which is to take the